Intuition is a dangerous thing. Humankind has long sought answers. The truth about the stars, ourselves, and all of our reality. Reality defies understanding. Humankind takes shortcuts. Leaps in logic, guesswork, acceptance of truths unproven. Reality defies understanding. We use our greatest asset, our intuition, to see the forest without the trees, but overconfidence is a killer. Like a predator evolved to avoid the notice of its prey, the greatest dangers to humanity lurk above and outside of our perception. Reality defies understanding. Yet we try anyways. Intuition is a dangerous thing. Last time, a lot happened last time. We'll get to the current situation in a moment, but y'all fought off a blob of some fleshy metallic substance that wasn't quite flesh but wasn't quite metal either. It was something completely unknown to you all. Some substance that probably should not exist. Completely unnatural. And it could move on its own, without muscle, without bone, without any other sort of structure to it. It could extend pseudopods and reach around and attack you, with quite startling strength. But you ended up burning down the local motel in an effort to kill this thing, and you haven't heard from it since. You're pretty sure you dealt with it. It was burning away and becoming smaller as you fought it in the fire, and it was so tiny by the time you lost sight of it that it's probably gone at this point. Unfortunately, you were spotted. There was a witness. The manager of the motel, who was on duty at the time, saw you all leaving the parking lot. Well, she sort of rushed out of there as well. And it turns out that the local aldermen are aware of your presence there as well. You all ran away just to get the heat off your backs a little bit, and some of you running away just because it was a fucking terrifying situation to cool your head a little bit and regain some reality. But hey, you eventually I forgot to say, you got Jane Allen out of there. Jane Allen was in the motel. You saved her, got her medical attention, but so far you don't know much about her situation. You regrouped and went back the next day because you had an appointment with the alderman, with Merle Barn, the owner of many of the businesses around town, like probably half the major businesses in town, especially ones that would have like a local monopoly, have Merle's name on them. Things like the only bar in town, or the only like garage in town, or the only, and so on and so forth. He just owns all of the single non-competing businesses in town. He's the head of the alderman as well, because of course he would own that too, and he's the one who met with you. He seemed to deflect a lot, he seemed to be trying to intimidate you, and through your roles you revealed he clearly knows some things that he's not letting on to, and he's just trying to deflect and get you out of here. After he dismissed you and told you all to leave, he would not be actually discussing things with you anymore. You decided to continue sneaking deeper in to Town Hall. You rolled an absolutely miracle natural one on the D100 and managed to sneak back there and caught a peek into what appears to be like a very large meeting room of some kind. Maybe like a combined meeting room and sometimes a courtroom if needed, that kind of room for a small town like this. And in the middle of it, with all the furniture pushed to the side, was a ball. A big ball of that same kind of flesh you saw before, but somehow a little more recognizable this time. It's pale and sweaty. It's a little translucent. All of these people wrapped around each other, knotted into this sphere, their faces stretched, their bodies contorted. But all of the 6 faces of the aldermen are on the outside of the sphere, from what you can tell. And they're just sort of sitting there, staring out into space. The sphere is hovering off the ground and just kind of slowly spinning. This, and should I not mention, of course, that all of the men in the sphere are completely naked. All of their clothes are scattered across the floor, and they're all just kind of twisted up together into one big flesh knot. This is obviously a terrifying scene, and so several of you lost quite a bit of sanity from this, and that's where we left off, is dealing with the aftermath of that sanity stuff. In the meantime, yes, thank you for noting it in the chat. There was some strangeness going on with High Tide's biology. He pissed green, like neon green, and he's been very, very thirsty. This came shortly after he went for a bit of a sleepwalking episode, as the town has been calling them. So things are looking kind of suspicious for what might be happening with High Tide, but so far nothing has come to a major conclusion with that. It's all just floating out there. Let's get back to the situation at hand. The ball. You all are in the hallway outside this room, in the courthouse/town hall. Let's go over who actually had major things happen to them. It looks like High Tide is the only one to lose actually major sanity here. Unless Hematite losing that 8 was accurate. I can't tell.
Yes.
It was.
I was able to offload 1, maybe 2 points, but that still puts me into a paranoia breakdown.
Yes. So you're gonna have a couple things happen. You're going to go temporarily insane, and you're gonna have a paranoia breakdown. So during your paranoia acute episode, for the next few hours, until you either like find some way to calm down, maybe another agent could help calm you down with like a psychotherapy roll or something, until you find some way to calm down or a few hours pass, you are unable to trust literally anyone, even your fellow agents here. Additionally, you're having a bout of temporary insanity, so feel free to choose or roll if you're feeling a little spicy. Fight, flight, or freeze for your character's response to this traumatic information.
Does this thing have a D3 roll?
You could just, /R 1d3. That works.
Fight it is.
You could do arbitrary dice, like a 1d69. All right, so you're going to fight. That is a perfect reaction to this. You have seen something terrifying, a scar upon the world, something that should not be there, and you will not stop until you make it not there anymore, basically. I'm trying to find the exact rules for it, but I believe you're essentially forced to just fight against this thing. Yes, here it is. Lash out at the nearest threat, no matter how insurmountable it might be. Once this course is set upon, your agent has no choice but to fight until they are killed, unconscious, or restrained. I'll also throw in there, if you think you're completely safe at a certain point, if you've actually taken care of the threat, which is honestly sometimes unlikely in this game, then that would also end, but you are in a state of not being able to trust anyone. So, in a sense, everyone around you is a threat at the moment. High Tide, you had some stuff happen too. Let's handle that as well before we start jumping into the role-playing. Because I think everyone else lost 1 or 2 sanity points and wasn't too bad. High Tide.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, surprisingly. Because, yes, I think we all got the rest of it. Yeah, you rolled a 1 on that, and yeah, okay. High Tide, you only took 2 points of sanity loss because of a projection onto one of your bonds, a rather sharp one. But this did bring you down to 2 remaining willpower points, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I believe when that happens, you suffer an emotional breakdown. I'm again trying to scroll to the rules for it. Here we go. If you have 1 or 2 willpower points left, you have an emotional breakdown and you suffer a 20% penalty to all actions until your willpower rises above 2. As far as other penalties in effect right now, I believe we described this morning in-game, several of you were drinking coffee to try and get through the day because you had a lack of sleep the previous night.
Yeah, that'll be Hollow and Rowan, or Hollow and Hunter, rather.
Yes. I recall this meeting was scheduled for noon, and you all took your coffee at 9 and rolled 2 hours for how long the coffee would last. So I think you're in a period of the coffee having worn off now.
Correct.
On our
So
way into town, I think we would have gotten more coffee, though.
that's fair. If
That's
you want
fair.
to do that, you can. You just have to roll some willpower damage. Some
Yeah,
willpower point
that's
damage too. Okay, so if you want to have gotten coffee on the way, I think that's reasonable. Just roll a d6 to see how much willpower point damage you take. Oof.
Oh, that's all of my willpower.
Was it all of your willpower?
That's all
Oh,
of my
no.
will. I have 6 remaining.
Okay, well we'll
I know the feeling
retcon
of
it.
drinking coffee and losing all your willpower. This
Absolutely.
game feels so real.
Let's see. We can retcon it slightly
This
here.
abomination causes a stress-induced heart attack.
That's
Will
kinda
the
what I'm-
caffeine pumping his heart so much.
Yeah, something along those lines. We'll say you were on borrowed time a little bit with this coffee and lack of sleep. Maybe you've actually had a lack of sleep for several days now, and it's really just coming to a head at this point.
Okay.
Running out of willpower. An agent at 0 willpower loses all control. This can look different for every agent in every situation. The agent might collapse in racking sobs, or lash out wildly, or simply pass out. I think essentially it's like a stronger version of the temporary insanity thing that can happen. It's just another way to reach that kind of state. So I'll let you
Okay.
choose or roll which one
He's
of those
fully
outcomes you
driven
want.
on destroying whatever's going on then.
Okay,
That's
so
how
you're
that's
just
happening.
pure violence mode, absolutely.
Yeah, he's on a rampage.
This is fair. I will also note later on in this paragraph, it does say an agent with 0 willpower cannot succeed any tests, including sand tests. So you're in a very dangerous state right now. Sooner
Then I
or
would've
later,
failed that sanity test that he passed.
yeah, we'll say that it. Well, like I said, we're retconning a little bit. We'll say that the willpower damage happened now.
Okay.
As you're seeing this thing, so I think
now
that's
it's
fine.
sitting.
Yeah,
Okay.
now it's hitting. And it does say sooner or later the agent falls asleep long enough to regain some willpower points. So you're in an extremely desperate state, and you're probably not going to succeed in any rolls, but feel free to just say things in the narrative, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll roll some luck rolls and stuff to see if you do some things, but you guys are in rough shape all of a sudden here. You're facing an absolutely terrifying threat before you, and all of you are starting to break. What do you do?
He's going to pick up the gas can that he set aside right next to that door before. Take off the cap, kick down the door, and just huck the entire thing at the mass.
All right, just tossing the entire thing just into the room wildly.
Yeah, just tossing the entire gas can in the general direction of the fleshy mass.
All right, so we'll say no roll required here. You're not going to hit them with it, but it does land on the floor, and it just starts to splash gasoline everywhere. It starts to just leak out onto the floor. All of the sudden, when you push open the door to throw that, all 6 faces on the sphere kind of contort a little bit so that their eyes can reach you to look at you. Like the sphere kind of shifts a little bit so the faces can move around to the same side of the sphere. So the eyes can all look at you, and now you have 6 sets of eyes staring at you with these hideously stretched faces. And you hear in your head, not in your ears, 6 voices in unison say, with no emotion attached, "What are you doing? You should
Can I
not be
s-
in here." Go ahead.
Can I scream in terror and blast with my shotgun?
Absolutely. Give me a firearms roll. Ooh, so close to a crit.
Now, what do I need to do for a shotgun damage?
GD8. It doesn't
thank
have a kill.
which seems wild to me, but it is what it is.
What? Is there a slug shotgun rule? Because I think we would be packing something heavier.
I
I'd
believe-
just be using whatever was in my like farm shotgun.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fair. So if
shotgun.
you're using your shotgun, then yeah, just normal shotgun rules. I think that is 2d8. I'll try and find the equipment table again, but there are slug shotguns. But yeah, it's slightly different.
I think even in the circumstances, Hunter would feel weird about using like military weapons, like maybe a pistol, but just so far outside of his world that he'd feel safer almost with a worse weapon because it's the one he knows.
That's fair. Whoa,
Nice.
Sheesh.
Okay.
spicy.
So, you take out this shotgun, you aim it, well, maybe you don't even aim it that closely, it's just the big sphere in front of you. So you just pull it out and fire it and scream, and the pellets fly. We see tons of bullet holes like sink into this fleshy mass. And the fleshy mass does not really respond to this. The holes start to seal up rapidly. And it says, "This is not a good way to start a conversation." 6 voices again, speaking to you.
Get out of my head!
Sapphire would grunt and say, "How about this then?" And charge into the room with her cigarette lighter activated.
Okay. So you're just heading
And-
towards the gasoline?
Gasoline, and basically my goal is to shove the cigarette lighter at the flesh, and if at all possible, make sure there's gasoline in there too. And
Okay.
At this point, she doesn't trust anyone else to do the job, so she doesn't care if she dies in the attempt.
Okay, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're in full panic mode, and you just have to get this done. So you rush in there. Give me a it's gonna be some kind of roll, maybe evade if you got that, like a dodge roll, or athletics or something to try and get in there, because they are going to try and stop you, as it's going to be a contested roll. They're going to use pseudopods to try and restrict you from getting close.
Okay, do we have an evade skill?
There's something similar. I'm trying to remember.
There's dodge.
God.
Thank you,
Okay.
dodge.
Ah. Can I use unarmed combat?
Hmm.
No,
Uh,
this is.
Let's say if you want to like fight through them, and if you want to use unarmed combat, I'll allow it, but that will be an action for like fighting back against the pseudopods rather than like getting through them to drop the lighter in the right place, if that makes sense. Like maybe next turn you could drop the lighter or something. But so if that's a significantly higher skill you want to use, you can do it, but just keep in mind that it has the cost of taking more time.
Not much. I'll do athletics. Or dodge. They're the same.
Okay. They're just gonna roll with their pseudopod and see if they get a success. Oops, I almost rolled a d69 again. That would not quite be right. Alright. So, you both failed. They failed worse. I think in the case of a fail, you don't compare numbers. I just decide what happens. So I think in this case you don't manage to get much closer, but they also don't manage to grab you. You manage to like duck out of the way as a pseudopod like kind of reaches out. It's not even like one of their arms detaches from the sphere so much as like just part of one of their cheeks just kind of extends outwards and then reaches towards you like a tentacle. Like just the biology of the people involved in the sphere almost don't matter anymore. It's just a mass of flesh that just does whatever it wants. And so this tendril will like slap into the floor next to you, and another one will reach out and like stab into the floor, and you just keep on dodging left and right, but you're not making any forward progress, and you're also not managing to like hurt them at all with your fists. I think let's make sure we're entering into initiative now too. So I'll give Agent Hightide an opportunity to act here, and then we'll enter a true initiative order.
So, with 20% to everything, if I have
Yes.
a 20, it just won't ever work.
Correct. It becomes a 0.
I wonder what that's like.
I mean, I think there might be a rule that specifically says a 1 is always a critical success, so you might have a minimum chance of a 1% crit, but yeah, it's essentially impossible.
I have no clue what I was gonna do, because I was gonna shoot it, but that's 20. So,
Somebody still has a Molotov, singular.
I do not.
I mean, if
Might
you
have been
plan...
Hunter.
Might
I
be.
know Hallow had.
Gosh, I
a
don't
flashlight.
remember having one.
Yeah, we did want. I did say last session when you come into this building, we should check anything that's like not written down in your sheet. You don't have. So if it's written down in your sheet, you can use it. If not, maybe you can run back out to the car and see if you can find one there. But in this moment in the hallway here, if it's not in your sheet, you don't have it.
Noted.
But hey, I mean, High Tide, if you're kind of panicked in this moment, you're having an emotional breakdown and stuff, maybe you don't particularly care that your shots aren't going to be that accurate, and if your first instinct was to shoot, maybe just shoot. I mean,
That was gonna be the stupid idea that I had. Like,
yeah. I mean, your character doesn't know that he has a 0% chance, right? So yeah. So you just fail. You fire into the room a few times, and you know what? I'll even say, just for effect here, you do land some shots. It's a big target. It's not like you're shooting the ceiling and stuff, like your gun is magically angled 45 degrees up. But you see the bullets sink in. You see the bullet holes close behind them. Maybe you hear a few seconds later, it hasn't happened yet, but maybe in a future round you'll hear the bullets get spit out another side of the sphere somewhere. It appears that bullets don't do a whole lot. And now we'll enter a true initiative order, in which we are back up to the creature's turn. Hematite, you were the closest because you were trying to get in there. You're currently in a panic state trying to set the place on fire, and this massive sphere of flesh is going to attempt to get at you with its pseudopods once again.
Alright.
You can attempt to fight back if you want to, with like your reaction basically, which consumes your action for this round. It's kind of like taking your turn early, but that's up to you. You can like fight back or dodge or whatever.
Nope. He is single-minded berserker. We are going to burn everything down. Everything must burn.
That's totally fair. Okay. They do not succeed, actually, based on the math I'm seeing here. So they just swing these tentacles around at you, and you, maybe that's the exact moment that High Tide takes a shot, and they get kind of distracted by the bullets, and you're able to slip out of the way. But it's they almost had you. It was very close. All right. So then it is on to High Tide's turn. Even though you just took the last turn, we kind of went out of order. So you shot your bullets, they did nothing. You're in a panicked state. What are you doing?
yeah, I like the idea of just running out to the car and rummaging for anything that can make fire.
Okay, so you're just gonna book it out of there. You know fire is what killed the last thing, so you're just gonna get something. Yeah, fair enough. It takes your full action to get out to the car, and we'll move on as we burst through the front doors, rushing out into the parking lot. Hallow and Hematite. Or sorry, Hunter goes first. Actually, I apologize. I skipped over you. Hunter, you are technically very slightly faster than both Hallow and Hematite. So in this crazy state, your shotgun didn't do much. What's up?
Don't care, I'm pumping the other barrel.
Fair enough. That's a failure. You again For effect here, I'll say you're shooting your shotgun in here, and the bullets are landing. They just don't appear to be doing anything to this thing. Let's
The
also...
screaming has not stopped this entire time.
Things are getting intense here. There's gasoline on the floor, but nobody has managed to light it. Hallow and Hematite, it is your collective turn. Although Hallow, you cannot pass any rolls. What are y'all doing with it?
Assist? If I can't pass my own.
Yeah, I think assist could work. That's a fair point. The rules don't say anything about it, and I like that idea. Assistance, like a group action, essentially. You would take the highest person's skill if having more people would help. And I think fighting something, having more people definitely helps. I think alternatively assist is like a plus 20% or something, or a plus 10% depending on what you're doing. So in what way would you like to assist?
Hallow will rush forward and just start smacking the tentacle pseudopods out of the way for Hematite to just make room for her to get in with the gasoline.
Alright, so you rush in there, throwing yourself into danger, just trying to make any kind of gap, extremely desperate. Hematite, you can take a plus 20% on your roll when it gets to, well, it is your turn. Nothing to wait for.
Alright, so what kind of roll would this be? To
So
light
are you...
something on fire?
Yeah, are you
Athletics or
trying to specifically, like, get the lighter to the right spot to light the gasoline, basically?
Kinda, yeah. Her brain's not working so well, so if we saw that the whole area was covered in gasoline, she's just running up, and if she can kick the gas can forward, like right under the blob, that would be great, but really she's just gonna run up and shove the lighter in their collective face.
Alright. So you rush in. I would say, yeah, give me athletics or something would probably make some sense if you're trying to push through this tangle of pseudopods. Unfortunate, even with the plus 20%. The creature already used its action this turn, so it cannot react to you, but that is still a failure. So we'll say it doesn't get to do any damage to you, but you do rush in there, and it blocks you off. Even with Hallow trying to hold off some of the tentacles, some of the pseudopods, it manages to like web them in front of you enough to hold you back. And it'll say, "This experiment is not going well. We should perhaps terminate." No, take care of these ones. We continue.
And she's
Again,
just screaming
voices.
wildly and yells, "I'll terminate you."
Alright. It's now the creature's turn. So, Hematite, again, you are the closest. You're the one pushing deep in there, so it's going to go for you. We're going to see how well they roll here. Oh, that's such a bad roll for them, unfortunately. These guys are very unlucky. They don't appear to be very aggressive, if that makes any sense. There's a strange coldness to them. There's no emotion. They're not like fighting to kill you with aggression. They're just kind of trying to stop you. They're clearly just like throwing out tentacles to block you, keep you from moving. The reaction time's a little slow. Like it doesn't even seem like they're paying full attention. And they keep speaking to you in these cold voices, but they've successfully stopped you, and you're at a stalemate here. Perhaps some of these tentacles are sort of wrapping around your arms and like starting to wrap around your torso and things, starting to get a hold on you, but they haven't actually grabbed onto you. You're just so close that you can't not be engulfed by these tentacles, even if they haven't fully gripped you yet. So High Tide, you've made it out to the car. What are you looking for?
Any sort of lighter. If there is one more Molotov or matches, worst case, whichever you're okay with being in the car.
Yeah. You know, I think we did discuss a Molotov, so if no one has it on their sheet, then it was just in the car amongst the many other weapons that were left in the car previously. So you pick up the Molotov, you rush back in there, and you just arrive back at the scene, but you don't have enough time on this round to actually throw it. But you can see as you enter the hallway and get like sort of at the double doors, hematite being like almost pulled into the sphere, and a Hollow nearby trying to pull back tentacles to leave a gap in the room. And then it becomes Hunter's turn. What are you doing? Shotgun blasts twice. Haven't seemed to do much. And now you definitely have allies close to the target.
At this point, I think I would turn and run.
Totally reasonable. So, Hunter picks up and runs. It's a bit of a 180. It just gets out of there, passing High Tide on the way out. You rush out into the parking lot. When you get there, you hear sirens. But that's all for your turn. Hallow and Hematite, we're back to you. You're still pushing through, still trying to light this place on fire. Behind you, High Tide has entered the room with a Molotov, but hasn't quite gotten the chance to throw it. You want to back out and give him an opportunity to throw it, or are you gonna just try and light it yourself and let him throw it later? You got options here.
I'm berserking, because I'm still in temporary insanity, I think.
Correct.
So, I think I'm surrounded by tentacles, so that's good enough. I'm just gonna flick the lighter on and just shove it everywhere.
Alright. So they're still trying to stop you from getting the lighter into place. The gas is probably spread across the floor pretty decently at this point. So how committed is Hematite to starting this fire right now? Are you willing to, even though gas is starting to soak your shoes, just drop the lighter, or do you really want to get it under the sphere?
Is the sphere covered in gas?
It's hovering over the gas, like about half a foot. It hasn't had any gas get on it yet, but there's gas in the room.
How accessible is the gas can right now?
It's like on its side, slowly leaking out onto the floor nearby. Like most of it's kind of scattered, but we'll say, you know what? Give me a luck roll, just a flat D100. If it's 50 or under, it's close enough for you to get to. All right, so it's a few feet away.
Okay, Human Torch. Grabbing the gas can, shoving the lighter in, getting it going, and running forward.
Oh shit.
All right. One last check of your choice here. I'll give you a plus 20% on this. If it's athletics or something, whatever kind of physical activity you're doing here to like avoid the tentacles and get to this gas can. Doing all this stuff while they're trying to stop you is difficult, is what I'm trying to express here. Nice. Okay, absolutely a success. So, you rush forward. You get this gas can. You pull the lighter close to it. The fumes ignite. The fumes onto the floor ignite. The gas around you starts to burn. You're going to take significant damage from this. I'm going to go ahead and
I'm basically pulling a Denethor from Lord of the Rings, just directing at the flesh ball.
Absolutely. So with no regard for your own safety, in full fight mode, as your flight response has completely shut down here, you're going to take 7 points of damage. As you just begin to immolate as you run towards this sphere. How low does that take you?
4.
4. You're still standing, but it won't be for very long. This fire is hot. You might have one more round in here unless these guys take you out before you are unconscious, even on a low roll of the die next time. Because in this game, hitting 0 hit points is death. Hitting 2 hit points is unconscious. So getting low, just like the willpower, if you get even to 2 points, it can be bad. So, You rush in there. You are on fire. The ground erupts in flame. The sphere erupts in flame as the fire just starts to tickle the bottom of the sphere, and then, much like the previous mass of flesh you saw, whether it's the fat within it or the whatever weird material it's made of, it's pretty flammable. And the fire tickles it, and it says, without emotion again, no fear, no anger, no aggression. It simply says, this is not working. We need to end them. We need to end them now. And once again, that is in 6 layered voices. Hallow, you were up pretty close too. Do you think you'd be... I feel like you were pretty close to this fire. I'll give you a chance to... Well, I would say I'd give you a chance to roll out of the way, but you're currently in a state where you don't really have any chance of success at that.
Yeah.
So I think you... I mean, I'll let you have some player agency here. What are you doing?
So he'd seen hematite erupt into flame and rush into it, and he probably would try to scramble backwards. But he probably just falls on his ass instead.
Okay. So you try to scramble backwards. The tentacles kind of let go of you because they're tracking hematite instead with the fire. But you fall back, and I'll say you'll take half that fire damage as you're a little farther back. You don't completely get out of the room. So let's make it 4. As part, like maybe like your lower legs ignite in flame, and it'll probably spread higher if you don't put it out soon.
Okay. Unless you can just like shuck his pants now.
So that's an option, yeah. Let's say, yeah, so you use your turn to essentially, yeah, just back out of the way. You took some of the fire, you just, yeah, shuck the pants and just get out of dodge. Are you just running?
He's running backwards towards where he can probably see High Tide in the doorway.
All right, so you head to the doorway. High Tide is standing there with the Molotov. The creature is once again going to pseudopod. Oh, that's a critical failure. This thing cannot catch a break on these rolls. So, I'll say it takes extra damage from the fire again, as it attempts to reach out, and some of its pseudopods just burn away. The thinner flesh reaching out over the hot flame gives it less protection against the fire, and it just takes repeat fire damage on its turn. Is it, once again, the voices in your head don't scream. They don't seem to respond in any meaningful way that's attached to the situation, but the faces on the sphere start to contort into silent screams. The eyes bulge out of the head as they stare in different directions. This thing is going through some rough stuff at the moment. High Tide, you're in the room, you have the Molotov. Unfortunately, hematite is in the center of is like up against this thing in the center of the room. What are you doing?
I can tell that hematite is rough, correct?
Oh yeah, hematite is very on fire, like completely. It's even hard to see her silhouette against the flame. Like it is extremely unlikely that she would survive this.
Was she screaming stuff when she ran in?
That's a fair question. You did say something that I'll terminate you, right? So a bit of screaming?
Yeah. So she was kind of doing generic battle yell at first, and when they said we might need to terminate this experiment, just like full on animal roar, I'll terminate you. And then she ran for the gas can, ignited the flame. I think she's still holding the gas can.
Probably.
And just like powering straight towards the core of the sphere.
Absolutely.
it would have been very obvious from the way she rushed in that Hematite's lost their mind because she knows she's not good at combat stuff. But
Well,
in anyways.
I guess I'm going to attempt to throw the Molotov then.
All right,
'Cause-
give me. Yeah, go ahead.
I would. If they were just running in and didn't seem to have any thoughts of surviving, I would probably not attempt to rescue.
Okay. So, I will warn you, even with a good reason, this will probably have a cost on your sanity. Are you okay with that? Just, having to do something for a good reason. Okay.
Oh wait, that was me.
Not you, you're good.
Yeah, I didn't mean to click it. I was just mousing over things and fidgeting.
Yes, no worries.
What a way to get that out of your system, though.
Absolutely, a crit. You gotta burn the bad luck.
No,
So yes,
I've
high
taken
tide.
too much sanity damage.
Yeah, fair enough. It is something that will have an effect on your mind if you do this. That's like, the cost in the game of, like, telling you, hey, this will hurt your mind to do this. I feel like I should
Yeah.
warn you ahead of time.
Murdering an innocent.
Murdering an innocent, even for a good reason. Or, like, there's even an example in the book of shoving a teammate's body into an incinerator to thwart an investigation is something that could cost you sanity. Things like that. There's all sorts of examples. I think this is definitely along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much throwing someone who's in an incinerator into an incinerator.
Yes. So you've got this. Yeah. Do you like hesitate basically?
Yeah, I would probably hesitate and kind of think about it a little bit. And since it doesn't seem to be reacting in any way. Did we check all of the other rooms?
Yes, you checked the other rooms beforehand. They were mostly empty. I think I described them previously, but they weren't super noteworthy. Like, there was just office supplies and town paraphernalia and schedules and paperwork, and yeah. Because that was the first thing you checked before you came in here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm losing my mind right now, so I would probably check them all again to see if there's, like, anything controlling this.
Okay, so you hesitate, and you think for a second, instead of throwing it, you rush back to the other rooms. Give me a search roll, I guess, if you're just in a panic trying to find something, anything. You kick in doors, you start ruffling through papers, but you're in a panic, you're not thinking straight, and so you start looking at these papers, and you don't even read that many words on them, you just shuffle through papers, hoping something will jump out at you. Nothing really is. There's clearly, I will say, even on the failure though, I'll just give you this because it doesn't require a thorough search, even just looking at the rooms will tell you, there's nobody in these rooms. They're empty, there's no like closets or people behind the doors, there's just desks and a couple chairs. No person in here. So that's what we see High Tide do. Hunter, you're in the parking lot and you heard police sirens. They appear to be getting louder. This is a strange time for them to show up. It's very quick compared to the gunshots that were fired, which is slightly suspicious. What are you doing?
I don't think I'm in a mental state to be suspicious. I think I'm in a mental state to be utterly relieved that other people are showing up, despite the fact that logically they stand even less of a chance than we do. So I'm just going to jump up and down and scream, over here, over here.
All right.
Still holding the shotgun. Not aware that I'm still holding the shotgun.
Okay, this is absolutely perfect. So you jump up and down, over here, over here. We see the police car, which says sheriff on the side, come to a squealing stop in the middle of the street. It doesn't even pull into the parking lot. The door, the driver's side door stops facing away from you. The driver makes sure to angle the car in that way. The driver's side door kicks open. Somebody gets up, gets out over the top of the car. They point a pistol at you. What do? You since you've not used your turn here, I'll essentially give you an opportunity. The situation has changed a little bit. There's a gun pointed at you. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna freeze. I'm gonna not so much drop the shotgun as it's gonna just fall out of my hands as I put them like in front of me, like no, don't.
All right. In the
The
split
freak
second,
out continues.
yeah, the freak out continues, but there's a split second where everything kind of slows down a little bit. You're in this like totally freaking out state. You're also very high on adrenaline right now, and you're noticing details maybe you wouldn't notice before. You can see on this police officer's face, there's no sweat. He's not aggravated. He's not here. He's not afraid of you. He's not showing up to the scene in a panic because he heard gunshots. He is completely calm. He is completely focused, staring directly at you. You can see in slow motion his finger pulling the trigger of the gun. And now I'm going to roll firearms for this police officer. Let me double check what his actual skill is, because it is written down here. There we go. He pulls the trigger. The sound of a gunshot rings out, but the bullet hits the pavement to your right. He takes aim again, and we'll get back to you on another round. We're back to Hollow and Hematite. Hematite, you're deep in the fire right now, and Hollow, you just saw High Tide run off with your Molotov. What are you two doing?
So
Oh, well,
Hollow's
I'm
also still in a state
gonna try and
where
give
he's-
the thing a burning hug.
Oh no.
Yeah, so you're just gonna
How-
go for it, Hollow. Sorry.
Yeah, so Hollow's just. This problem is he's also in a mode where it's do whatever I can to make sure this thing dies, but he has
Yes.
no weapons that can hurt it. I mean, he has a pistol, but he's seen that it won't hurt it. The one weapon that he did potentially have that could hurt it just ran away, so I guess he's chasing High Tide.
All right, so you're chasing High Tide to try
As
and...
much as the player wants to try and save Hematite, the only means to attack it would be either further kicking her in, which isn't an idea that he's, committed to.
Yeah.
Or going and getting more fire.
Fair enough, and you just saw somebody run off with your weapons. I think this makes total sense. You find High Tide kicking open doors. High Tide, do you resist giving him the Molotov, or can you just have it?
Oh no, I hand it over happily and then just go back to rummaging through stuff because there's something going on.
All right, so you successfully get the Molotov back, Hollow. And you know what? I'll say that there's like a 2 or 3 meter limit to moving on a turn when you do something else. I think it's fair for you to take this. The hallway is not that large. High Tide just passes it to you while he walks by. You're standing in the doorway still. Do you want to try and throw this Molotov? You probably won't be very accurate at it in your current state, of course, but what would your character do?
Whatever it takes to burn this thing down, so he'll throw it. He's not going to succeed.
That's fair.
But he
I
doesn't
don't
know
think...
that.
I think in this case, because there's already so much fuel in the room's already so much on fire, you're just adding more fuel to the fire. Even on a failure here, it's still going to do some damage. And yeah, you're still just adding more fuel to the fire. You will auto-fail the sanity check as well for harming an innocent. So let's roll a d8 for the fire damage. I'll roll that real quick. An 8, so it'll be half damage.
Did I roll for the fire damage from before?
I just took what you rolled, the damage that was dealt to you, and I applied it the same to the sphere.
Okay. Cool.
An 8 this time, so it'll be 4 to both you and the sphere. And then the fire continues to tick again. Yes.
Do Hunter and I have the same initiative?
Yes, so you can act like while Hollow is getting the Molotov. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So that's... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, basically burning hug.
All right, so you're just trying to get in there and
Get
just
the
keep the
gas
fire.
can to the center if I can.
Okay. Give me strength or athletics. And this thing is going to try and contest you to try and move out of the fire. Ooh, they rolled pretty well, but in a contested roll, rolling low is not actually that good. Oh, so close. So unfortunately, you try to like hug it and just hold it from moving, but it's just this big fucking sphere. It is, even if it would like had feet on the ground, it would be literally 6 times your size, maybe larger. And so maybe 7 times your size. And so it just starts pulling away from you, trying to get out of the flames. But the flames are going to damage you both once again. For an additional 1 point of damage. So you take that 5 total for this round.
No,
I'm dead.
I was gonna suggest that if she took so much damage in her own attack that she would have already been dead, but I'm taking sanity anyway.
Yes. So I think you're hematite collapses to the floor. Hollow, you throw this Molotov, and as you throw it, it lands. There's a ball of flame, and when the flames die back down to the level they were at before, hematite has collapsed and is just face down on the floor, burning away, motionless. The sphere is also heavily on fire. The building is starting to burn down as well. Bits of the ceiling are falling apart. This place is just rapidly deteriorating with all of the extremely flammable fuel you've dispersed all over it. The creature is going to try and just break free from the building with its remaining strength, and it is starting to diminish in size from the fire, but it's going to try and just escape. Actually, no. What the creature will do is it actually has a priority here. It wants to terminate you all. So it's going to go for Hollow. So it's going to make a pseudopod attack. It fails. It, again, reaches out its pseudopods. Not a crit fail this time, but in the heat, it just can't reach you. Its tendrils get too thin, and they just start to burn away once it starts to get close. You're being protected by these flames at the moment.
I still have to roll sanity loss, right?
Yes. So you auto-fail because of your emotional breakdown, but you will take 1d4 sanity. Rough.
That's my breaking point, so I can't push because I have no willpower.
Correct. You're out of willpower. That stuff hits hard. So
I'm currently
back
at my breaking point.
Yes, so that is a break, I believe. I can double check that, but I think being at the breaking point counts. Breaking point. Every time an agent reaches their breaking point, yes. You can update your new breaking point by subtracting your POW from your sanity. I think there's a button for that on Foundry or something.
Yeah, you can just hit reset.
Excellent. And when we're in a less intense situation, we'll determine what new disorder you get.
Gotcha.
Because right now, it is high tide. You've rummaged through these offices. The Molotov was taken from you, but you haven't found anything. The whole building is starting to burn down. What are you doing?
I mean, I feel like at this point I would run back to the room and then see Hematite's burned corpse and run out of the front of the building.
All right, so you just book it out there. You get into the parking lot. You kick open the doors, and you see, standing out there, there's a police officer who has pointed a gun at Agent Hunter. But that's all you can do because you got outside. It is now Hunter and the police officer's turn. The police officer is clearly already preparing to take another shot. Hunter, what are you doing?
What's the closest thing in my line of sight to hide behind?
There's some other cars. Really just hide behind your truck or somebody else's car here.
Okay. icy fear stabs into me as I realize that this is not right, and I dive for the nearest car.
You dive out of the way. Give me a dodge roll, because you can't technically dodge firearms, the rules say, but you can scramble for cover, which will give you a cover bonus versus the firearms. So you try to scramble out of the way, and unfortunately the police officer takes a shot before you quite get behind a car. That's a much better roll. Okay. This is not a lethality gun, but it is still very potentially deadly here. Let's see how well he manages to hit you. Not well at all. He just grazes you as you make it past. Maybe skims like your shoulder or something, just on the outside, like just barely clips your shirt, like a little bit of your shirt gets torn and there's a cut across your shoulder. Like a small chunk of flesh has been ripped out at the edge of your skin, but it's not like a lethal wound or anything. But this guy is clearly shooting to harm. He's not firing warning shots. Hematite is gone, but Hallow has potentially a turn here.
So, the creature has been trying to hit us back. It's tried to make its way out of the building also. So he's just going to close the main doors and I don't know if there's one of those... I don't know, just anything to like try to bar the door so that it has less... more in its way.
Sure. I won't make you roll for that. You just close the doors. It's not like that requires any special skill. Maybe you find one of the chairs from one of the offices here and you just prop that under the door, like kind of getting the handles, keeping them from moving. And you hope that's good enough. At that point, are you just running out?
No, because he's still committed to making sure that shit dies, so he's probably just like standing kind of at the ready, not like right behind the doors, but near enough to at the other door that leads to the hallway, actually, from the main entrance.
Okay, sounds good. So you head down the hall, trying to make sure this thing stays in this building as it burns. And it's good. You prop up that chair on the door, and you can feel the heat from that door, and the fire starting to spread through like the gaps in the ceiling above, all that kind of stuff. It's bad. The whole building is starting to fall apart. But you head down the hall, hoping to keep it in here at any cost. And now it is the creature's turn. So I'm going to have it roll strength to burst through the wall. That is absolutely a success. As it crushes through the door. You did successfully close it, and it kind of bashes against it for a second, and then the door buckles outwards, and that bashes against it again, and the door erupts outwards, and the fire just spreads out into the hallway. Some of the gasoline that was on the floor leaks out into the hallway as well and starts to kind of puddle down the hallway. The fires keep erupting upwards. The walls of this place are now all on fire, and the fire is traveling towards you as this creature, no longer hovering, just kind of is using its pseudopods, much like the smaller one you saw, to pull itself, dragging across the floor, trying to get to you, it appears. But that's as far as it can make it on a single turn. It's just crawling and dragging its fleshy mass in your direction. Hunter, you've been grazed...
Shrinking from the flames?
What's up?
Is it still shrinking from the flames?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's still taking fire damage. You know what? I'll re-roll that instead of using last rounds, because last rounds was kind of lame. So it's D8. 5 damage this round. Thank you for the reminder. So it's still taking some damage. It's getting smaller and smaller. It's now... you can see all 6 faces are still there, but some of the other parts of the body have melted away now. Like the extremities are all pretty much gone at this point. It's like torsos and heads contorted into this sphere. And outside, Hunter, you've been shot. You've not been terribly wounded, but you have been grazed. You're clearly up against somebody who's shooting to kill. What are you doing?
I'm gonna try to avoid hyperventilating and pull the pistol that I was given at the beginning of this excursion out of its holster. And thinking, oh, I never thought I'd be doing this. And then I'm gonna take a deep breath, and I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna try to shoot at the guy shooting at me.
Absolutely, go for it. Firearms test. He's also going to make a firearms test to fire back. That is a success. Let's roll a d10. He grazes you again, chipping away at your health. High Tide, you're outside as well. But I don't know if you have a weapon on you. Did you have a pistol or something?
I have a pistol and a knife and my hands. I was going to ask if there's a way to try to subdue someone, like a chokehold, so that I don't kill them, but unconscious at least.
You could absolutely try to do non-lethal stuff. You could also just grapple. There's options, yeah. That'd probably be unarmed combat. I'm double checking that right now, but yes, okay, so there's a pin action, which is attempting to immobilize a target using unarmed combat. Critical success. Alright, so I'll say you rush out of this door. Flashlight in hand, you just bonk him on the head with the flashlight, just this thick, heavy, long flashlight. And as he's reeling from that, he was totally focused on Hunter for whatever reason. And so you hit him on the side of the head, he kind of gets dazed, and then you just grab his arms, wrench them around his back, and tackle him to the floor. He just hits the asphalt cheek first as he goes down, and you've got him down there locked tight. So the rules for pin are you have 20% bonus against them for pretty much anything in melee range. They can't move. It's very, it's what you would expect for a pinned thing. You can attempt to escape, but yes. For now, you've got him down. Hallow. This creature is down the hallway, pulling itself along. The fake plants in the hallway are completely burned to a crisp at this point. This hallway is red, filled with fluid that is burning, and you've got this creature from hell pulling itself along. This place might as well be hell. What are you doing?
He's pulling the pins on both of his. He probably just has one. He probably pulls the pin on his flashbang grenade that probably won't be useful, but it's just something to try and slow it down. So he throws that in there and backs behind that final door and goes searching for something else to barricade.
Okay, so I think this is, again, not something that necessarily requires a roll, because you're not trying to be precise with the flashbangs, just dropping them and running, basically. Just dropping them, closing the door, and running. None of that requires any special skills. So it's a good way to work with the situation that you've got. You just hear the flashbangs go off behind you. Your ears start to ring a little bit, all that, just a loud noise that accompanies that. As you make your way out, and still a little bit dazed, you hear the gunfire outside, and you just make it outside in time to see High Tide tackling a cop, and Hunter bleeding on the sideline. I'm going to take a roll for the creature to essentially attempt to shrug off this effect and keep moving forward anyways. And that is a success based on its nice. Thank you. It's not nice, unfortunately. We should have it's a classic house rule in the Delta Green community that a 69 is always a crit success, but we do not have that one. It seems to have shrugged off the effects of this flashbang as it just pushes through those doors and is coming up right behind you, Hallow. So I'm gonna say, because it resisted them, it's gonna get its chance to attack here. Critical failure. It stumbles up to you, but it's on fire. It just keeps burning and burning and burning. I'm gonna have it take double damage from the fire. It's gonna take 14 points of damage. As you rush out of this building, the fire is just roaring behind you. This thing makes it past your flashbangs, but it's getting smaller and smaller as the fire grows taller, as the building collapses. And as you make it out onto the front parking lot, the entire building behind you finally collapses on itself. The fire roars higher, and that thing is probably not making it out in time at this point. Everybody who is alive, Sag, can roll 1d10 and recover that much sanity.
How much sanity you said?
Yes, 1d10 recovery of sanity.
Oh.
Sheesh! You needed that.
Woo!
However, there is still the threat of this police officer ready to take you all down. So
He's got a gun, Hunter screams unhelpfully.
High Tide has tackled him, and he's on the ground and seems fine. But he... Yeah, you know what, High Tide, it's your turn. What do you do?
If the gun is anywhere close, I'm gonna grab it and throw it.
Okay, yeah, just take his gun from him, just wrench it and toss it. I'll let you have that for free as your action, since you've got him pinned. That's probably pretty easy at this point. He says in a monotone voice, now that it's his and Hunter's turn together, "No, the experiment is done. Terminate it." And then he just stops resisting, like he got turned off. Like his mind is no longer there. He's just a body on the ground. Hunter, it's your turn.
Wait, you said he's dead?
It appears so. It's strange. It's like a puppet's strings were cut. It's like he collapses. He is no longer moving at all. His eyes don't close. He's just no one's home.
I'm gonna try to do some first aid to myself.
All right. Yeah, give me a first aid check. Failure. Only a fumble deals damage to you, so you just fail here. You try to patch yourself up, but maybe you stop the bleeding a little bit here, but you're not going to do any significant stuff without supplies. So, all of you in this parking lot here, the cop has stopped moving. You've tossed his gun aside. The building has collapsed behind you. You've all got a moment here. What are you doing?
Collapse catatonic.
Yep. All right. Hallow,
I
with the
will.
threat's gone, the adrenaline leaves him, falls onto the ground.
Yep, he did his job. He killed the thing. And,
Police
Yep.
officer.
Yep.
What's up, Liam? Sorry.
I would put the handcuffs on the police officer, like his own handcuffs on him.
Absolutely.
Where's Hematite? We all gotta get going.
She's dead. I saw her body right before I ran out of the thing.
Hunter somehow he hears this, but his brain just chooses not to process it, and just moves into the mode of trying to drag people into the truck while bleeding. He may not do a great job of it, but he's gonna try it.
Do you have anything that one of your bonds is now dead?
That's a good point.
Yeah, that is a good point. Let's handle that later, but I do believe, yeah, losing a bond, you lose some sanity from helplessness. So yeah, let's do it now. Whatever. Hallow already lost that sanity from participating in the kill, essentially, but the rest of you, sanity check versus if you were bonded to Hematite, then yes, that would be a check.
So I wasn't bonded, but I did see the corpse. Does that still count?
Yeah, it'll be a lower sanity penalty, but still sanity.
Oh.
Oh, well, it's
Oh.
1, so you can't go higher than. You don't roll max on a 1. It's just a 1. So, you take 1. Hunter, you succeeded, so you're fine. And that's from helplessness, if you want to mark that. So you all are sitting in this parking lot trying to figure out what to do. You've handcuffed this police officer. And as you sit there, you're trying to, you said trying to get people into cars and stuff, trying to get out of here. The body of the police officer just starts bleeding. High Tide, you feel extremely short of breath.
Am I thirsty?
Oh, you're not thirsty. You're like having an asthma attack.
I'm going to see all the bleeding, and I'm going to think, wow, I guess I got him after all. And I'm going to try to do first aid on the cop.
So you walk up to him and start to try to do first aid on him. He's bleeding out of his eyes, his ears, his mouth.
Oh,
Every
I don't think
his
that
nose.
was from me.
Every orifice on his head is just bleeding. You even start to see blood pooling up from his pores.
Think we gotta.
Give me a
Think we
sanity
gotta
check.
get this guy to the US hospital so they can figure out what's going on with him. Because otherwise this might start happening to us too.
At this point, I'm probably not responding, and I'm just leaning against the police car, huffing
yeah.
and puffing, and I just point, like, my thumb back at Hallow, because I probably saw him collapse as he was coming out the door.
Oh, it's already starting. Come on, we gotta go. We gotta go.
You're starting to feel short of breath too, Hunter. High Tide. You're trying to figure things out here. You start vomiting. Just stream after stream. Your body just starts convulsing and just pushing everything it has out of it.
Is it at least normal color?
No, it's like black.
Oh. I thought I would have a win there.
There's probably some blood in it.
Is my vision still okay, or is the vision starting to blur?
You're like sweating into your eyes, and yeah, just the strain of all of this vomiting is starting to get to your vision. Yes.
Can I head to my car and, like, start blasting the AC?
Sure. Yeah, you're feeling extremely warm right now. You're starting to sweat. You start
Probably also
blasting the
chug
AC.
a couple water bottles, because
You
I know
vomit.
that helped before.
You vomit all over your dashboard. You try to get water down, you vomit it right back up. Your heart rate is increasing. Off in the distance, Hunter. Shortly later, you start vomiting as well.
Does Hallow's body also do the same?
Yes, actually. You start unconsciously vomiting down the steps of the building.
Is Polo at risk of suffocating from his own vomit?
Probably starting to choke on it, yeah.
It depends on what direction his head is facing.
Either way, everything is coming up. Your body is just, any fluid inside it is just being ejected. But so you'll start to suffer here, clearly. And High Tide, you're in your car, you look in the mirror, you get a glimpse of yourself in the car's mirror as you're trying to force water down and stuff, and you just see the corners of your eyes are starting to bleed. Your heart rate is increasing more and more rapidly.
Can I get a call out to our handler?
Sure, you dial the phone. Derringer,
Hey, Derringer. We're at the town hall in,
You're interrupted
Where
3
are we?
times
It's
by
not-
vomiting.
it's not Dublin, it's
Dorchester?
Dorchester. Yeah, we're at the town hall here. We're all struggling.
Vomit.
Might want to send someone to check up on us.
Vomit. Oh, God. What's going on out there, Agent?
The
Agent, are you...
the
Agent, are you poisoned? Should we send a poison squad?
I don't know what we are. We just all of a sudden
God.
started sweating. Probably
Sending
vomit
ambulances. Stay tight. Time passes. You all become immobile by whatever is affecting you. This, whatever it is it's nasty. It's fast acting. After a little under 5 minutes, both of you have a heart attack. And then you wake up. All of you open your eyes, your alarm clocks are going off. All 4 of you. It's an early morning. You check the calendar. Maybe you have it on your watch, or you have a calendar nearby, or on your clock itself. Whatever calendar your character might have access to. It is September 4th. And that's where we'll end the session.
That's either we've been asleep for a year, or that's before what's started happening.
We will
Very spooky.
definitely figure it out. Yes.
I'm so happy I got a fat nap after everything that just happened.
The guy isn't dead.
Yay!
Yeah. Can I reset my sanity before having almost 3 mental breaks?
My
Well,
sanity is back to what it was before I got cooked.
your sanity remains the same, but your willpower and hit points refill.
Hell yeah, I no longer
Because-
take penalties.
You still remember everything that happened, so your sanity's still affected, but your body and like your energy levels and all that are fine.
I have memory.
Let's go.
Oh,
So,
the sleep disorder and all that's still there.
Yep. All of your mental stuff is still there, but your willpower and your your willpower and your hit points return.
We keep the check marks.
You know what? Let's go ahead and just roll the check marks as skill improvements now. It's a good time for it. So you can
No, I meant the violence and helplessness ones.
Oh yes, you can keep those. And let's do skill improvements now too. So if everyone wants to just roll those and see what you get, might as well.
And how does that work?
I think there's a button for it.
Apply skill
Oh,
improvement.
yes, I see.
Yeah, and Foundry will just handle it, which is nice. It'll reset all of your skill check marks.
To mark athletics and God.
Oh, you can
from
go
the
ahead and mark those
combat.
now and re-roll it. That's fine. Oh, nice. Big gains.
Very cool.
All right, thank you all for playing. We'll get
Yeah,
back
thank you
to
very
this.
much for running.
No problem. We'll get back to this next week,
I
and we'll
thought I'd
figure
bring
out.
my character.
Yeah. This was a crazy time. We'll have to figure out what that all means next time.
Why you gotta keep killing all of us?
True.
We're putting us in